Finished. Those of you who know me and have read Devil's Creek, this is my official follow-up to that. This is from a book I'm calling Revelation Road, and there's for some setup to the beginning of this. The story is about two women, two lovers, Violet and Anna. And Violet and Anna have been ambushed outside of an art gallery show, and a bunch of weird men have kidnapped them, and they want Anna, they don't want Violet. And this is the first time Violet meets the big bad guy. Just a heads up, there is a racial slur spoken in dialogue. I am censoring that today. So I'm just gonna go beep. Also, one thing, because this might be confusing. She has a butterfly knife. She calls it Madam Butterfly. Get your fucking hand off me, freak. Eddie Ray let her go, and she stumbled backward, kicking up a cloud of dust in her wake. Violet caught her balance and took in her surroundings. The van was parked in an empty lot, what might have been a parking lot in an industrial park at some point in time, but was now abandoned and overgrown. Weeds grew through the cracks in the earth, the surface more gravel than asphalt. The whole area was illuminated by a single orange streetlight towering overhead. Detroit's skyline shimmered in the distance, and Violet had never wanted to be back in the city more than in that moment. Jamie hopped out of the van and barked an order at Herschel, told him to keep an eye on Anna. He slammed the door. Fucking idiot. He strolled across the lot and gave Eddie Ray a once-over. Get back in that van and patch up that leg. A malformed golem hunched his shoulders and let loose a shrill whine. Violet thought he sounded like a pig on its way to slaughter. Don't you give me that, Jamie said. It'll get infected if you don't. Remember what happened last summer with your big toe? Yeah, just like that. Eddie Ray held out Madam Butterfly. He freed the blade, pointed it straight at her, and growled. I know she hurt you, but Mama told you to behave, didn't she? He nodded slowly and closed the knife. Violet watched with annoyance as Eddie Ray tucked Madam Butterfly into the folds of his suit. You'll regret that. Good boy. Now get back in the van. Take care of that leg. Eddie Ray opened the doors, climbed inside, and closed them once more. Violet tried to get a look at Anna, but the golem's body filled the opening. A swift breeze lifted around them, ushering a chill down her neck, eliciting a hiss from the surrounding flora. Other than the muted drone of highway traffic a few miles away, the breeze was the only sound, and drove home just how isolated they were. No one knows you're here. Your hands are bound. Even if you do get away, you've got a long walk back into the city. That's not happening. You know that. He's going to kill you, leave you out here to rot, drive off with Anna. You and me need to have a chat, little girl. Jamie pulled the gun from the back of his belt and squatted on his haunches. Come on, have a seat. We was just talking. Violet moved slowly, kept her eyes on his weapon. When she was seated on the damp asphalt, Jamie smiled. So, if I'm you, I'm probably freaking out right about now. A bunch of backwoods boys just kidnapped you and your girlfriend, you don't know why, and your whole world isn't making any sense. Am I close? Violet stayed quiet and studied her enemy. He had the makings of a beard, shaggy hair, sunken eyes, and a gaunt and chiseled face. Like a young Peter Murphy from his Bauhaus days. Only she couldn't see this guy singing Bela Lugosi's Dead before a crowd of morose goth kids. No, he wasn't suave enough for that. Too rough around the edges. A scattering of small scars marked a battlefield across his face. But the one scar on his neck caught her eye. It was deep, like he'd been branded, a symbol she didn't recognize, just like the tattoos on the golem's hands. This close, she smelled his sweat, the dirt on his jeans, and something else on his breath. Overripe fruit left to rot in the sun, soaked in grain alcohol and marinated in burning exhaust. The stench lit up the nerves in her nose, made her eyes water. She blinked the tears away. You might be thinking why it matters how you feel about all this. It matters a great deal, little girl, a whole lot. See, if I'm you, and I got that same fire you got, that same fire I see sizzling away in those pretty brown eyes, then I'm thinking about ways I'm going to get my girlfriend back. I'm thinking how I can get the cops involved, or how I can maybe turn the tables, play the hero, and kill all these motherfuckers. Right on one count, farm away. Jamie traced his thumb along the side of his weapon. I get it. That girl in the van's special to you. She's special to us, too. Her whole family's been looking for her for years. We ain't about to let her go on account of your puppy love. Trust me, little girl, you're outgunned here. Violet smirked. You could just take me with you. And I could just kill you here and be done with it. You ain't part of the deal, Chico. Chico. Whatever. I don't speak Pete. She heard her share of ethnic slurs in her lifetime, and while she'd grown desensitized to them, hearing those words cross his tongue conjured red lightning in her eyes. Her whole world blazed red and her lungs filled with smoke. She clenched her hands into fists and silently pulled against the zip ties. The Valkyrie spoke up from the shadows. Not now. Not yet. He'll shoot you down before you can get free. You save that fire, that strength. Wait for the right time. The right time. She took a breath, eased it out, but the fury remained. She was okay with that. Let him see your rage. Give him a good look so he remembers it. Uh-oh. Now I've gone and done it. Gone and fanned the flames, I did. All that tough silence is just an act. Maybe you got lucky with Daddy Ray and that knife, but I see you for what you are. A scared little girl. He leveled the gun to her forehead. Maybe I should just kill you. But you haven't yet. The words were tantalizing, but she knew better. Guy's got a gun, thinks he's a big man with a big old dick. Let him keep thinking it. A squawk of static broke the silence between them. Where you at? Jamie sighed, unclipped the walkie from his belt. Where I told you we rendezvous, dummy. Except it came out as Randy-Boo, and Violet nearly broke her composure to laugh. Jamie lowered the walkie, gave her a once-over. It's your last chance to look me in the eye and tell me you ain't gonna follow. Violet looked him in the eye, smiled. All you'll get from me is a head start, farm boy. She pushed off the asphalt and climbed to her feet. Jamie followed. He lowered his weapon, chuckled to himself. There's that fire again. Hell of a thing. That will to keep going. I respect it, little girl. He tucked the gun back into his belt. You and me, I think we could have been friends if things were different. But here's what's going to happen. A series of rumbling engines swelled in the distance. Violet turned and saw 4 headlights riding single file down the highway. They slowed for the turnoff. A second more, and they were headed this way. Oh, there's the boys. I'll introduce y'all in just a few. But like I was saying, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get back in that van and take Anna where she needs to go. And you, little girl, get to stay here and make a choice. You can get on with your life. You can try to follow. Or you can try to follow. Now, I figure there's good odds you're going to follow, so I'll leave you with some parting advice. You won't like where we're going. It ain't for city girls like yourself. It ain't kind. Especially not for your kind. You get me, chica? The squad of engines grew louder, their arrival followed by a thick cloud of dust, painted orange in the dim glow. 4 black choppers, each rider clad in black leather and helmets, sporting similar armor to the golem in the van. They were each wrapped in barbed wire and painted with red runes, the symbols so dark they were almost invisible against the folds of leather, and all were packing heat. Guess this is the rest of her family. Violet counted 2 shotguns and an AR-15 among them, each holstered around their backs and one blade of some sort. She couldn't tell what it was for the sheath, but if she had to guess, she might say a machete, or maybe a short sword. The latter wouldn't surprise her. These freaks were straight out of the goddamn comic book. Gothical, she thought. One of Trembley's side projects. They would fit perfectly in its pages. The riders made a circle around the derelict lot before slowing to a stop. They cut their engines. Jamie nodded to each one of them. Any trouble, boys? They shook their heads in unison. Good. Now listen up. Change of plans. We got ourselves a little girl who wants to play hero. Muffled laughter leaked through their helmets, jarring groans of strained metal. Violet wondered what deformities hid behind those visors. She felt disconnected from reality, witnessing this display of backwoods machismo. She half wondered if this was nothing more than a vivid dream. She was back in her apartment, sort of curled up into a ball and whimpering in her sleep, held captive by an ill-timed edible or something stronger. Of course, I look at my agent when I say that. People like this did not exist. Not in the world she knew anyway. Yet here they were. And here she was at their mercy. Worse, so was Anna. I'm gonna need one of y'all to hang back a bit. Make sure this little girl don't do nothing stupid. He pointed to one of the riders. Slit, you think you're up for it? Slit? Jesus Christ, who are these people? Slit was the shortest of the bunch, but that wasn't saying much. He was taller than Violet, even while seated on his bike, but his clothes hung off his wiry frame. Amphetamine thin, her dealer used to say, and his build fit that description. He climbed off his bike and unsheathed the blade from his back holster. Violet was right the first time. A machete, heavily altered, with serrated teeth carved into the blade. Dark splotches decorated its length, blood or rust, Violet couldn't tell. And she supposed it didn't matter. One way or another, that thing was designed to hurt. He approached, brandished his weapon in a show of dominance, but Violet remained still. Blades didn't scare her. Her mother's second husband had seen to that long ago. You know my terms, little girl. Stay and live, follow and die. Up to you. Jamie put his hand on Slit's shoulder, whispered something that Violet couldn't hear. When he was finished, he gave her a final glance and smiled. I just bet Slit a whole case of PBR that you'll try to follow. Don't let me down, little girl. Violet forced a smile and watched as Jamie returned to the van. All around her, the 3 riders kick-started their engines, and for a moment, the world was nothing but smoke and dust and an orange halo overhead filled with the raging screams of combusting machinery. That's their world, she thought. That's where they're from. And further back in the shadows, she heard the Valkyrie whisper, maybe it's where Anna's from, too. She watched the grim motorcade travel along the access road back to the highway. Slit took 2 steps forward, waved his machete before her. She felt the swish of air and welcomed its cool touch upon her hot skin. I promised him a head start, she said, turning back to her jailer. She held up her bound wrists and bared her teeth. I didn't promise you jack shit. That's it.